Well, Azaz Al-Shami is a Sudanese human rights activist, and she joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Azaz, we've been seeing these pictures of shuttered shops and empty streets. In your assessment, how successful was the call for a strike and civil disobedience today?
It is very successful, and I think it became very very intuitive for people not to go to the streets as they're being attacked and they've been shot at, stabbed, and shops being looted. The junta, the TMC, and the Janjaweed did not make the city safe for anyone. I'm sure a lot of the people who remained home, not necessarily opposition, many of them might be pro-government, but the streets are not safe for anyone to go out. It became the logical decision, and it became the logical choice for people who fear for themselves. I've just heard to the junta and all their spokespersons spewing lies about that this is all caused by the opposition. I don't know who they are fooling. This is their own making. There are tons and hundreds of videos that we managed to get from people on the ground that show their forces wearing their own official clothes, hitting people, manhandling people, firing gas, firing like live ammunition. This is not the doing of the people. They are leaving, the junta and the Janjaweed are leaving their own loaded guns on the streets, trying to instigate people to pick up the gun. They will not pick up the gun. We did not do this to pick up the gun. And that's what scares them. This is a peaceful revolution and a peaceful movement, and it will never resort to violence. The problem with they're doing this in junta, they're trying to justify their killings because they feel backed. They're backed by Saudi Arabia, they're backed by UAE, they're backed by the US, they're backed also by the European Union. Everyone in this world has backed this regime before and emboldened it to this extent that it started to commit massacre. And the massacre, it was not just on Monday, it's been on a daily basis. We have people shot and left on the streets. Today, a guy who was shot the day before yesterday, they were not even allowing his family to take his body. And when they eventually gave the body, they came into the funeral, start to hit people until the body fell off. This is a crime against humanity. And I don't know how far this is going to go until the world do something or take an action. And as you mentioned, they're trying to cover up their crimes. They already closed Al Jazeera because it was covering this non-stop live feeds. They already closed down the internet. They're doing that intentionally because they have something to hide. If it wasn't for that, they would not put us on lockdown. But we will not be silenced. The Sudanese people will not be silenced, not in Sudan and not abroad. We are not going to be silenced.
Azaz, let me ask you more about that, because we're hearing about the protesters' preconditions for talks, which have been suspended for some time. Where are those now?
I personally don't speak for them, but I personally do not think the junta or the military or the Janjaweed are worthy of sitting with them at the table. Preconditions or not, they should not be even a partner to this transfer of power. They are criminals. They are criminals. When you ask them to say sorry and admit, who are you kidding? I think these demands are does not even honor the blood of the people. It does not honor the blood of the people. We demand that the junta steps down and be held accountable. That's what we call for. I'm not going to take an apology. Apology will not bring back the people. Apology will not bring back our youth. Apology will not bring back the pain that they caused us. I do not want apology. And admission, I don't need it. We know that it happened. What we need here is really understanding this conflict and recognizing that the TMC and the junta are criminals, and we need to dry up any support given to them. The international community has been supporting al-Bashir that breeded all these issues because they thought they can do something, and they wanted to make a deal with the devil. And look where this got us. If the EU, for instance, think that Sudan or this military council will help them even an iota to stop illegal immigration, just be prepared for more people to come. They have blood on their hands. If the US thinks that any collaboration with the TMC will ever deter any security threats to the US or the world, think again. They are the source of terror. They are the terrorists.
Azaz, I want to ask you about a potential resolution to this, because we have seen the violence continuing now for some time. I'd like to ask you about a potential resolution, where you see a potential resolution to what's happening here, because the violence has been going on for some time now. We're hearing demands from the protesters. Talks have been suspended. Where do we go from here?
I don't know. I think this should be treated like what happened in Rwanda. This should be treated like something like a massacre that has taken place. We need to learn from the history. We need to do something. We need to support and protect the civilians. The UN, the first thing it did, it just evacuated its staff. That is very cowardly. You cannot leave us. First thing it did, it just evacuated its staff. That is very cowardly. None of these negotiations, none of these talks that recognize the TMC as a partner will go anywhere. Believe me, if it doesn't happen now, it will happen again. They want to kill everybody. They have not shown one act that can make us trust them, or they did not show any act of remorse or any act of recognition of their crimes. We cannot trust them. What do we need more to recognize that these are criminals taking the people of Sudan hostage and they're committing more crimes? They say that they want the people to go back to normal life. We can't. There's tanks and Thatchers and cars and guns every street you look around. Even when people don't go out of their houses, they break in and loot them. And I'm talking only about Khartoum, that has relatively a crack of information leaking, but we know what's happening in other cities. And this is not new. It happened in Darfur, and everybody was watching. We documented so many crimes. Everything that happened in Darfur is happening now in Sudan countrywide. If you fail to stop Darfur, you have a chance now to make this right and correct your mistake. I have no idea what can the international community do. But since this is their mess, they need to clean it. First, starting by cutting any aid to the TMC. Any aid they're doing, they need to cut it to TMC. Money, anything, do not recognize them. They failed to do that time and time again, and look where this got us. They need to recognize that. TMC, Janjaweed are not trustworthy in any political solution or any peaceful solution.
Azaz
any delay in recognizing this fact just make it harder.
Azaz El-Shami, a Sudanese human rights activist speaking to us there from Washington, D.C. Thank you for being with us on